What if Daenerys Targaryen always knew Jon Snow's true parentage? Let's explore the depths of it in the video. Before we begin, shout out to our channel hands of the king, SirWilliam1776 and Zackary Citti. We appreciate you. Now let's begin.
Drogo will have no use for dragon eggs in the Nightlands. Sell them. Khaleesi, my queen, I vow to serve you, obey you, to die for you if need be. I know what you intend. Do not.
You don't understand.
Don't ask me to stand aside as you climb on that pyre. I won't watch you burn.
Is that what you fear?
I will not burn, sir. But when I emerge from those flames, I intend to bring us home, Sir Jorah.
The knight can only look on in confusion, trying to ponder what she means. But it is too late as the Dragon Queen begins to step onto the pyre as it roars around her. Yet, strangely enough, her mind is not on the flames, nor any of her followers. It is to the lands that birthed her, Westeros. It is a strange land to her, stranger than Essos, and little more than a collection of dreams and promises. And among them, one vow stuck out more than any other. It was a declaration made while she was in the cradle by the man she had least expected, Eddard Stark. She heard this story from Sir Willem, who told it while she was rocked to sleep. She doubted if Viserys even heard it. You're not alone out there. You are not alone out there. That memory continues to thrum in her mind as the fire roars around her and consumes everything. It remains in her mind until she hears the faint cries on her lap. When hours pass and the fires have turned to ash, she watches her Khalasar surrounding her. She watches them kneel before her, and Daenerys is momentarily lost in the sight of it until Ser Jorah approaches her and asks the question they had all been wondering. Where do we go now? Daenerys responds by allowing the knight to help her to her feet and guides her towards the tent. It remained largely untouched compared to everything else, which was ransacked and looted. She pushes past the jewels and furs given to her as gifts and reaches for a small satchel that contains her most prized possession, next to her dragons. A letter, yellowed from time and its ink smudged, but its words remain legible enough. She picks it up and holds it for the knight to see.
This was given to me when I was a girl by Sir Willem Darry. He says that during the siege of Dragonstone, Ned Stark had personally given it to him on the eve of our departure.
She then begins to read the familiar words she had long since memorized by heart. Sir Willem, I have known you to be an honorable man, which is why I write you this letter, trusting your decision with the information I provide. Though I have no regrets on the side I've fought for, I have seen my cause marred by greed and ambition. If you intend to escape, know that I will not stop you, but I feel obligated to tell you this information. The children in your possession are not the only Targaryens left. Ser Jorah sucks in a breath and leans closer. The color drains from his face as he opens his mouth, but Daenerys continues to read it. This war was started because of my sister being abducted by Rhaegar Targaryen. Although I was unable to save her, I was able to save her legacy, her first and only child. I do this not to crown him, and I hope you respect my wishes, but simply to let him live out his days in peace, without the burdens of being a Targaryen. I tell you this so your charges will know that they are not alone, and to give them hope that there might be a time when they do not have to live in fear. Most of all, for them to know that they are not alone in this world. For a moment, there is silence. Then Jorah shakes his head.
Your Grace, I have served Ned Stark for years, and I know him. He is a man who deals in absolutes. I must wonder, does he truly mean all this? Or if he has another motive?
What would he achieve by writing this? If it were ever discovered, that would be treason.
Not unless the king sanctioned it. Perhaps to lure you out, or convince Sir Willem to flee north.
If it were a ploy, then it was a rather foolish one given how things turned out. And besides, I do not think so. It feels different.
She feels her dragons curling up next to her, nuzzling her as they let out a few faint whimpers.
I sense it in my blood. There is no falsehood. I have one more brother, and he is in the north. I intend to find him.
Even if what you say is true, it does not mean the rest of the north will welcome you. They were among the fiercest foes of your father, and may regard you as an enemy.
That is why I need you, Ser Jorah. You know the lands better than anyone. Come with me. Guide my people across this land so that you may return home as well. Will you serve me in this task?
I will. Khaleesi.
With that, the Khalasar picks up what few possessions they have and loads them on their horses before departing these lands. They make their way back to Pentos, where they hope to charter a ship back home. They still have a few treasures left, some jewels, furs, gold, and spices that the rest of the Dothraki did not loot when they abandoned Drogo. With these, Daenerys hopes to charter a ship to take them north. When they do arrive in Pentos, they are greeted by Illyrio, who is stunned to see them, much less with dragons. Yet once he recovers from his initial shock, they begin their talks. The Magister is confused why they need to sail north, and his surprise only grows when Daenerys shocks him with his letter. After taking a moment to compose himself, he immediately agrees to help them. A ship is chartered using their remaining wealth, but he has something else to provide them: new protectors. The first is a squire from the Seven Kingdoms named Arstan Whitebeard, and the other is a former pit fighter serving as Illyrio's guardman, Strong Belwys. These men bring news from the Seven Kingdoms. Robert Baratheon is dead, and the realm has collapsed into civil war. Robb Stark, the eldest son of Ned, has taken up arms and declared independence, while the Lannisters and Baratheons fight for the Iron Throne.
Then this is the perfect opportunity to set sail. The realm bleeds itself dry, and this means we can arrive unchecked. If we are swift, we can reach Jon Snow before they even realize what is happening.
You may very well do that, Your Grace, but it does raise the question. What do you hope to accomplish there?
Finding my brother. If we are truly the last of my family's dynasty, then we must unite and stand together no matter what threats come our way. That is the only way the Targaryens will survive.
All of this is assuming that this tale is even real. It may still be a falsehood created by Ned Stark to lure you back to the Seven Kingdoms to your doom. It is not. I assure you of that. I have served in the Seven Kingdoms for years, and I know this for certain. Ned Stark does not make declarations lightly. If he believes that this boy truly is a Targaryen, then he has a good reason. If you choose to return, you can be sure of my protection, whatever an old man like me may provide.
You are welcome to accompany me, Whitebeard.
The Magister watches them go, and secretly composes a letter to his allies there, telling them to change their plans. Rather than take them to White Harbor or other major towns, Illyrio has the ship instead take them to one of the more isolated settlements along the White Knife. From there, they can move deeper inland to reach Winterfell. The captain of this ship, Grolio, drops them off along the shore where they begin their trek towards Winterfell. But as they pass White Harbor, they find it busy with activity and war. They see armed barges moving north carrying knights and siege equipment. Even after they land, they see troops from the Tallhearts, Flints, and Karstarks advancing towards Winterfell. They learn that the Ironborn have seized the castle, and these Northmen plan to retake it. This news comes as a surprise to them, as they had long seen Winterfell as impregnable. While the villagers advise them to turn aside, this small party disembarks and moves inland. Daenerys, cloaked and keeping her dragons hidden, thanks them but ventures deeper. The wind howls over the frost-covered hills as Daenerys rides at the head of her column. Snow begins to fall in light, scattered flurries, and the land grows colder with each step northward. Behind her, Rakaro scouts the path ahead, while Jorah rides close, keeping a wary eye on every distant ridge. Arstan and Aggo guard the rear, ever alert. In the distance, a column of smoke twists up into the gray sky like a black finger. Daenerys narrows her eyes.
Is that Winterfell?
It should not be burning.
They urge their horses forward. They know of the planned efforts to retake it, but wonder how this battle must have turned out as they crest the ridge. Winterfell lies below them, broken, blackened, burning. The surrounding town is cracked and crumbling, the walls scorched. Daenerys freezes in her saddle. Beside her, Jorah swears. The battle is over, and they see men fleeing in all directions. A burning Kraken banner flutters weakly atop Winterfell's battlements, but the fighting below is off.
This wasn't the Ironborn. Look, there, the flayed man.
She follows his gaze. Among the departing soldiers marching from the ruin, several banners flap in the wind, pink and red, with the flayed man of House Bolton.
Bolton. But that cannot be right. Look, they are attacking their fellow Northmen.
Daenerys feels a pulse of heat behind her. Her dragons stir in their cages, sensing her fury. The sight of Winterfell, the castle from her father's time, the home of her brother, reduced to this travesty, tightens something inside her. And from betrayal, no less. Rakaro gallops back, dust and frost on his face.
They move back east, Khaleesi. Many prisoners in chains.
We ride them down.
The Bolton's men march in long, disorganized lines across the snow-choked fields. They do not expect a pursuit, but then they hear the horses and the ferocious war cries. The Dothraki, though outnumbered, charge fearlessly into their ranks. Arrows and arrocs flash in the air. Houses rear. Men scream. In the chaos, Jogo and Ago and the Dothraki descend, cutting through the scattering soldiers like wind through tall grass. Daenerys rides behind them, her cloak torn back, silver hair streaming. Arstan and Belwys flank her as the last of the Bolton men try to form ranks. Ser Jorah leads the final charge, in full plate that scatters the Boltons. The last to fall is Ramsay, who tries to run but takes an arrow into the shoulder blades. Daenerys dismounts, walking through the ashes. When it is over, few remain. The prisoners, Northmen, small folk, and a few women are freed, blinking in disbelief. One kneels before her, a young man, bloodied and shaking.
You're a Targaryen.
And you are free. Go to your kin. Tell them Winterfell was avenged. But I ask you, I am searching for a boy. Jon Snow.
Jon Snow? You're looking for Lord Eddard's son. He's gone to the Wall to serve the Night's Watch.
Then I shall go there as well. Jargo, Ago, take half the Khalasar and all the women and elderly back to Winterfell. Escort these people safely. Ser Jorah, go with them and help rebuild it.
Your Grace, my place is with you.
I need you in that castle. You know more about the Northmen than anyone in my army. If anyone can restore Winterfell, it's you.
He nods reluctantly and takes charge of the army. With them gone, Daenerys turns her attention back north towards the Wall. She begins moving northward, sending scouts ahead. Later, as they make camp by the Weeping Water, Rokaro returns once more.
My queen, we found another group moving north. 4 or 5 only. A giant and a cripple riding on its back, and a great wolf, bigger than some of our ponies.
She orders him to take her to them, and the two ride off. They follow the tracks through the sparse woods until they come upon the small party. A crippled boy rides on a sled pulled by the giant. 2 short youths and a massive direwolf that growls in a warning. Hearing this, her dragons stir and begin to hiss. Drogon flaps his wings threateningly. The others look up in surprise, weapons flying in their hands. When the wolf bristles and prepares to pounce, Daenerys halts and dismounts.
I mean you no harm. My name is Daenerys Stormborn. I came seeking Jon Snow.
Ariston exhales sharply behind her, recognizing the names. Daenerys steps forward, slowly, and kneels.
I know you, Bran Stark. You are Ned Stark's boy, the one who was crippled after he fell from a tower.
I knew your brother, but in person. Through the man who raised me, and a letter from your father. Through his words, I came here to find him.
He's at the Wall. We are heading there as well.
My lord, we have just come from Winterfell. The castle has been retaken. You are free to return there.
We aren't heading there. We must head beyond the Wall. There is something there calling me. Something more powerful than I know. It is as if a force is reaching out to me.
Magic. I understand. It has called to me, too. It was how my dragons were born.
Bran looks up to see the 3 dragons. He reaches out and touches them, and surprisingly they lick his fingers. Bran offers her a quiet smile.
Then you understand why I must go.
Then I will not stop you. But at least let me escort you there. And then I will be waiting when you return.
As they reach the Wall, the 2 go their separate ways. Daenerys thanks them and watches them disappear through the ruins of one of the oldest castles. She then makes her way over to Castle Black, which sits nearly abandoned during the Great Ranging, as most of the men have left to investigate the disappearance of Benjen Stark and the strange wilding movements. Because of that, those who remain in the castle are on edge and immediately take up arms when they see Daenerys and her party arrive. The only one who calms them down is Donal Noy. He greets the Dragon Queen, and the 2 discuss why she is there. The old smith explains that Jon has gone beyond the Wall in the Great Ranging. However, she is welcome to stay and help prepare for their return. Daenerys and her troops immediately make themselves useful around Castle Black. Having so many hands is a boon for the Night's Watch. The Dothraki work in the stables, tending to the horses and helping teach new archers. Though old, Arstan proves to be an able warrior and guides the recruits through their sword drills. Daenerys herself works with Donal Noy and the smithy. Her dragons are small, but they soon learn to spit fire, which the one-armed man uses to great effect to keep his furnace working. But while she is there, she also meets with a surprising figure, Maester Aemon. The old man breaks down sobbing when he feels Daenerys in his arms. He welcomes her home and touches his forehead against hers. The queen herself begins to cry, shaking with emotions as she sees another Targaryen for the first time in a year. Unlike Viserys, one who treats her as family, the two spend hours talking in the night, with Aemon telling her about her family history. The Maester's tales are not what Daenerys had expected. Though he is a dragon, he is also a fair man who speaks of the pain and suffering caused by their family. He doesn't paint Robert as a usurper, but a man sincerely wronged. It is difficult for Daenerys to accept, but Aemon speaks with so much conviction. And then they hear the sound of an alarm. A lone rider is making his way up the south side of the road. A few rangers string bows and prepare to fire, but as they see his black cloak, they hold their fire. When he draws closer, a few recognize him. It's Jon Snow. Daenerys and the others bring him inside. The young ranger is feverish and wounded, but as they guide him inside, his mouth opens.
Wildlings.
And then he slips into a fever and slumps over. Daenerys takes him to the sick room while the rangers make preparations. He remains there for several days, but the queen does not leave his side. Along with Donal, they tend to the young man, and he slowly recovers. When at last he wakes up, the smith excuses himself, leaving the two alone. Daenerys presents the letter in her pocket to him.
Jon Snow, I have traveled a long way because of you. Because of this. You are my brother, the last male Targaryen of our line.
That's my father's handwriting. But that cannot be. I am no Targaryen. I'm a bastard of Ned Stark. He told me this. Why would he cover it up?
To give you what none of us has been able to get. Peace. You were able to grow up and spend your life as a normal child, without persecution, without fear of being hunted. That is why Ned Stark said such things. But that is why I speak to you now. We must stand together. It is the only way we can retake the Iron Throne.
The Lannisters sit on the Iron Throne. Their boy king rules the Seven Kingdoms. Besides, I have taken a vow to serve the Night's Watch. Who I am, or was, doesn't matter now.
Doesn't matter how. It matters now more than ever, Jon. The Lannisters have wronged our family, regardless of what you see in ourselves. We cannot ignore that. Not when they sit atop their stolen throne. And you took an oath. But oaths can be overturned by queens. I can come to some arrangement with Maester Aemon.
I did think about leaving before, when this war began. I wanted nothing more than to leave and ride alongside my brother. But I learned that I have a duty, not just to my family, but here as well, to the realm. I cannot abandon that either. These people are my brothers. Besides, there are bigger things out there.
His voice trails off, and Daenerys purses her lips. She wants to try and persuade him, but there is something about the way he talks that gets her attention. Whatever he must have seen, it must have been terrifying, but there is little time to dwell on that. Reports soon emerge of an oncoming wildling attack. It was what Jon had tried to warn them about. A strike force of free folk had scaled the walls and was planning to sneak up on them. This should be troubling news, but the Dothraki are the perfect answer for that. Alongside strong Bellos, they ride out and prepare to confront this threat. The eunuch fighter stands at the front, galloping atop a warhorse and cutting down the first wildling to get in their path. The rest of the Dothraki are equally fierce, slashing them and hooting as they take their heads. For once, the wildlings find someone equally fierce as them. Jon follows after them with a force of dismounted watchmen. They fire arrows and take out the surviving wildlings. Belwys personally duels the Magnar of Then, their swords flashing, and though he manages to stab the pit fighter in the side, the big warrior's Arak flashes down and takes the man's head. And then the dragons fly overhead. They are still quite small, but their fire is enough to set grown man ablaze. They zip around, unleashing their flames and scattering the survivors. Soon, only a handful of free folk survive. Among them is a fiery-haired woman that Jon insists on taking alive. But they know this is just the beginning. The force was meant to win them a quick victory. Without them, the wildlings will attack in strength, which they soon do. Reports from Eastwatch and the Bridge of Skulls show these ferocious attacks. But Castle Black can do little to support them, as the bulk of their army is there. Yet with their new allies, Castle Black resists. Dothraki stand on the wall alongside the Night's Watch archers, while Arstan and Strong Belwys launch sorties and try to scatter the forces of the wildlings. They fight for days, even as reports grow grimmer on the other castles, even as the wildling horde remains massive and reinforcements don't arrive. and even as sorties from the south return, bringing news of the Red Wedding. The news hits Jon the hardest as he learns about his brother's death. The boy nearly loses all will to fight as tears sting his eyes, but he pushes those thoughts aside and continues shouting orders. Donal Noy sadly falls in the battle, leaving it up to Jon to take command of the wall, and he holds it until Sir Alistair arrives and demands that Jon be arrested for breaking his oath. But as men move to arrest him, Daenerys blocks his path alongside Ricardo and Arstan. The rest of the Dothraki glare at them, fingering their weapons and daring the Master-at-Arms to arrest him. Even with Janos' cronies, they dare not fight these warriors, and Jon is allowed to remain free. But Sir Alistair is placed in command due to his superior rank. He orders Jon to try and assassinate Mance Rayder, knowing full well that it is a suicide mission. But before his plan can come into effect, a new king enters the stage. In the distance, a fresh column of men bearing the fiery heart comes riding in and shouting the name Stannis Baratheon. If the Dothraki were like a swarm of bees, stinging and retreating, then Stannis' army is like a battering ram. They smash through the wildlings with a disciplined charge, breaking through their defenses and leaving them fleeing. Thousands are cut down, and many more captured, including Mance himself. But as Stannis looks up, he is surprised to see the banner of House Targaryen standing atop the wall. Soon, it is joined by the flaming heart of the Lord of Light. Jon stands in the cold wind, staring out as the last of the wildling resistance crumbles below. He turns as the crunch of boots behind him draws near. Stannis Baratheon arrives, flanked by Melisandre, Sir Davos, and a score of his knights. Jon dips his head in greeting. Beside him stands Daenerys, cloaked in black and red, her dragons perched nearby, eyes glowing. For a moment, no one speaks. Then Stannis breaks the silence.
So it's true. The Targaryens live, and have taken roost upon my wall, and with dragons.
I go where I must. The wall stands, and your army is whole, because I chose to fight beside these men. Are you not glad for that?
I did not say I was ungrateful, only that I did not expect a dragon queen.
The fire speaks, both of you, of blood and flame. The prince that was promised may not be one, but two.
3. We have reason to believe Jon Snow is a Targaryen as well. A letter from his father sent to Sir Willem on the eve of their birth. Sir Barristan, you are another face I was not expecting to see here, but you are a welcome sight in the wall.
Sir Barristan? As in Sir Barristan the Bold? You served in my father's Kingsguard.
And your grandfather. I apologize for not informing you sooner, but I did not wish for you to be hunted down any more than you already were, and I wish to see what kind of ruler you might be. Does this mean you intend to support her claim?
Do you doubt my right to rule?
You are not the only one who has served the realm. I am here for a reason.
Enough. We have more important matters than who wears the crown. The wildlings did not come here on a whim. They came because they were running from something. The White Walkers. They're real, and I've seen them. They took men, good men, and raised them as whites. They're gathering in the far north, and they will come again.
A hush falls.
He speaks the truth. The darkness gathers beyond the wall.
We need to prepare. We need every sword, every dragon, or we all die. We need dragonglass, and men to man the walls. And when the time comes, dragons.
My dragons refuse to go over the wall. It is as if something was preventing them from moving above.
Still, should they ever breach the wall, then we will need them to stop the White Walkers.
I will send more aid to them. Dragonstone has a massive store of dragonglass. I can have it sent here. But what happens after? I will press my claim. I am Robert's heir and the lawful king.
You say order, I say ashes. I was born to rule. My family had ruled long before your dynasty.
The room bristles with tension. Davos shifts uneasily. Barristan tightens his hand on his sword. Ricardo glares at the Baratheon knights.
Enough. You both want the same thing. A realm that survives. We can argue over thrones later. Right now, we need each other.
And what do you suggest, Lord Snow? Or should I call you something else?
I am the son of Rhaegar Targaryen. You offered me Winterfell. I accept it. I'll take your banner, but I want Daenerys to be named your heir.
Stannis stiffens.
She has dragons, and the willingness to rule and learn.
What more do you want from an heir? And I will serve to protect the North.
You would do this?
The North needs me. After the Red Wedding, how could I not act? They killed him as they ate, as they sat as friends.
Very well. She shall be named my heir. With that, the army marches out. Stark, Targaryen, and Baratheon. Their first target is Winterfell. Though Jon is bound by the Night's Watch oath, Stannis and Daenerys manage to form a deal with the leadership. They offer to continue watching the wall and provide them with new men. In exchange, they will also begin letting the wildlings through. Once they are in the Seven Kingdoms, they will be watched and monitored by the Starks instead of the Night's Watch. These terms are acceptable to the Watch, which allows Jon to leave with the monarchs and be raised as a lord in his own right. Daenerys explains how they had already killed Ramsay and retaken Winterfell, but that is just a small force of men. The rest of the Boltons were in the south with Roose. They managed to force their way back to the north and now try to retake Winterfell. The castle garrison numbers fewer than 100 men due to Ramsay's sack of the capital, yet they managed to hold out for a time thanks to Ser Jorah. While the castle does not fall, it is blocked off by nearly 40,000 Bolton men and more troops from House Karstark and Dustin. They outnumber Stannis almost 4-1, but Daenerys sends her Dothraki out, and those who had previously felt the sting of Bolton's betrayal now rally to their side. The survivors from the earlier sack join her, spreading their tale. When Jon announces his presence, houses previously loyal to Boltons, like the Umbers, Serwyns, and Tallhearts, all cross their banners and join them. This bolsters their ranks, and Roose realizes it is a difficult position. If they are allowed to join forces, they will be able to overrun his army. So, during a strong flurry of snow, Roose sends all his heavy horses out to confront the Baratheons. They ride through the icy wind, well accustomed to the snow in a way that Stannis' southern knights are not. Their charge scatters their first ranks of men before they even realize what is happening. The knights panic, their horses gallop off while men-at-arms are cut down. Stannis rides ahead with Sir Richard Horpe, trying to rally the flagging cavalry while the Northmen stream forward to cover their gaps, but they are still fighting blind. That is, until Stannis gathers Daenerys' Dothraki and sends them forward. Rather than using them in a charge, he instead has them riding along the lines and using whistles to warn them where the Boltons are coming next. When they charge again, Stannis and his infantry are ready, their shields braced, and they absorb the enemy charge. From there, the Northmen unleash their counterattack and scatter their cavalry. This cycle repeats itself until the fourth charge, where Stannis has managed to rally his knights and unleash them in a counterstrike. This time, it is Bolton's turn to break. When the survivors return to bring the news, it is too late. Stannis and Daenerys' army arrives, and the rest of the Northmen rally to their side. The ensuing battle beneath the walls of Winterfell is a foregone conclusion. From the battlements, Ser Jorah and his men watch it unfold and cheer, raising their swords in salute of this victory as the Boltons are run down. In the aftermath, the Stark banners rise once more. This time, not alone, but flanked by the crowned stag of Stannis and the three-headed dragon of Daenerys. As the northern lords gather for the next move, Stannis lays out their plan, and many are keen on vengeance against the Lannisters and Freys, gladly offering their swords to the cause. But Jon does not go with them, at least not yet. He focuses first on stabilizing the north. He opens the gates of the wall to the free folk, establishing villages and settlements along the Gift. There is grumbling among the old northern lords, but the threat of the White Walkers and their recent victory over the Boltons keeps them in line. Wildling prisoners are freed and ordered to send word to the lands beyond the wall of this offer. Mance helps smooth tensions, and Daenerys sends supplies, and Stannis sends dragonglass, which is forged into weapons. As her dragons grow, they turn from mere curiosities into true weapons of war. When the time comes to move south, Daenerys leads the charge from the skies, burning the lands surrounding Tywins, scattering their knights and men-at-arms. Their levies are thrown into a fury as they see their homes being burned down. Many soon turn against them and rise up against their lords. It only takes one to open the gates of the twins. Soon, a traitor decides to do just that, and Stannis' men stream inside. The prisoners are freed, and with that, the only leverage the Freys had over their vassals disappears. In an instant, thousands of riverfolk rise against them. Their lords raise them and ambush the Frey and Lannister garrisons. Stannis sends his men to aid them, rallying them into a single army. Drogon's shadow falls over Harrenhal, and the old castle burns again. The castle is taken in a matter of days, while Derry surrenders. Riverrun is placed under siege, but its garrisons turn against the Freys and open the gates. The march is hard, but the reputation of Baratheon justice precedes them. Yet, as the Riverland Rebellion brews, Stannis searches for other allies. The Lord of the Stormlands rally, disillusioned by Lannister chaos. Dorne too stirs, Elya's bloodline avenged by fire and snow. The Martells send envoys, and quietly they declare for Daenerys and her alliance. In King's Landing, chaos reigns. Cersei clings to power, but barely, as she awaits her trial. The Faith militant walks openly in the streets, armed and unchecked. Crown loyalists whisper of madness in the Red Keep. Tommen, weak-willed and shrinking, is unable to do anything. The Tyrells grow restless, squeezed by the Faith on one side and Lannister incompetence on the other. Then, salvation arrives. The Golden Company envoy approaches them in secret, promising to offer their aid in restoring order. More importantly, Jon Connington tells them that he has in his possession his own Targaryen heir, Elia Martell's child, Aegon VI. With him comes 10,000 disciplined mercenaries and a promise of Tyrell legitimacy. The Lannister power is breaking. Their only chance of surviving is marrying someone of royal blood, and Jon Connington conveniently places one at their feet. They bring gold, discipline, and legitimacy. For the Tyrells, it is an offer too tempting to refuse. Together, they form a new axis of power. Aegon, the Tyrells, and the Golden Company. Rather than work to rescue Cersei, the Tyrells gladly give her up as lost and unleash the Golden Company. Many of these sellswords have had little love for the Faith and owe little allegiance to it. Besides, the incest allegations have now put Tommen's legitimacy into question. Maintaining their alliance might prove to be more trouble than it's worth. The loudest of the Sparrows are arrested when they speak out, and the Tyrells cut off the food supplies to the city. Kevin desperately tries to restore order and work out a peace deal, but he is now overruled by the Tyrells. Soon after, Kevin is discreetly removed, leaving only Sir Harys Swift as the highest-ranking Westerman. Yet, the man is malleable and helps bring the Westerlands to heel. Soon enough, the people begin to starve, and many clamor for action. For the people of King's Landing, many turn against the Sparrows, others against the Crown. Whatever they do, it gives the Golden Company just cause to intervene. Their sellswords quickly march forward and begin to arrest or slaughter the Sparrows who stand against them. The news reaches the Baratheon outside Maidenpool. Her dragons wheel overhead, but she does not order them forward. Aegon has sent her a letter. It is formal, but not cold. He calls her aunt, offers her alliance, and even promises her co-rule if they were to wed. He does not claim the title of king absolutely, but he does not surrender it either. Daenerys sits in her war tent, holding the parchment in one hand and a goblet of wine in the other. Her face is unreadable. To her left, Jorah watches her cautiously. To her right, Barristan stands silent, frowning. She feels like she has been there before with her brother, Viserys. It was not so long ago that she had been forced into a similar wedding with Khal Drogo. She still recalls the fear she felt during that time, and though she had come to love her husband, she was not keen to try that again. More importantly, she wasn't about to let someone else dictate her marriage yet again. As she looks at the letter once more, she throws it in the fire and knows this. For all her differences with Stannis, he would at least not dictate her fate. When she emerges, she resolves herself to ride for war. The fields of the Riverlands and the Reach become killing fields. The Golden Company, with its heavy cavalry, elephants, and heavy infantry, move out, joining forces with the Tyrell army that remains largely untouched by war. They are stiffened by veterans of the Lannister army who provide much-needed experience. Together, this army offers overwhelming numbers. Parts of their army remain behind to hold back the Stormlands and Dornish, who raid into their army. The rest advance north to confront the Baratheons and Targaryens. Stannis and Daenerys meet with them on wide plains near the Mander. Her dragons scream through the sky, scorching enemy supply lines and battering their forward camps. Drogon lays waste to siege towers and supply depots. Rhaegal turns columns of men into ash, and Viserys burns through the advance guard. But the Reach is vast, and the Tyrells clever. They split their forces across multiple fronts, capturing towns and castles faster than Daenerys' dragons can respond. Though the Riverlords and Northmen are experienced in war, their numbers are depleted, and they cannot fight them everywhere. With each village taken, they tighten their grip, forcing Daenerys and Stannis to stretch thin. They can win each time they bring their army to bear, but more often than not, Stannis must split his army and leave under the command of lesser commanders. Strong Belwas is gravely wounded in a countercharge near Ashford. Richard Horpe is captured when trying to protect the Red Fork, and Maidenpool is captured, forcing Jorah to abandon the town. Yet, in the Battle of the Mander, Stannis manages to burn a fleet of riverboats bringing reinforcements. In the Golden Tooth, Daenerys launches a counterattack that temporarily closes off the pass, and in the Stormlands, Davos smuggles weapons to the rebel Stormlords. The fire may win battles, but it cannot hold ground. Slowly, Stannis' main army is forced to retreat and play a game of cat and mouse as he is pressed deeper into the Riverlands. Seeing this, Jon Connington organizes a fresh offensive. He orders all the armies to converge around Seaguard, where Stannis is retreated. 60,000 swords, including the Golden Company, advance there. The advance is heralded by a force of elephants who batter their way through the enemy ranks and frightened picket forces meant to slow them down. Stannis' men, numbering some 25,000 men, form a defensive formation. They face the charge of the Golden Company, all while Daenerys tries to support them with her dragons. She strikes at their flanks, scattering columns of infantry. However, the Tyrells and Lannisters bring ballista that fire into the sky and prevent them from fully strafing their lines. This prevents the dragons from fully unleashing their fire, which allows the Tyrells to slowly roll back the Baratheon lines, and they are pushed up into the walls. But as the lines look ready to break, a new banner rises on the horizon. The wolf banner of Winterfell flies along with the other banners of the north. They are led by Ghost, and flanked by the war cries of the Free Folk and giants from the far north, their heavy feet shaking the earth. Southern soldiers stare in horror and awe alike. The Golden Company, so proud and hardened, breaks ranks when the giants crash through their center. Steel means nothing against the swing of a club the size of a tree. The Free Folk fight with feral tenacity, pushing the Tyrell flanks back. But now, armed with mail and receiving proper training, they prove to be just as fierce as any soldiers of the Seven Kingdoms. Jon Connington tries to send his elephants out to halt their advance, and the wildling foot soldiers are driven back. But the giants do not falter. They clash with the elephants and wrestle them to the ground, or drive them back with their thunderous cries. They lure them towards the artillery and scatter their crews. With those gone, the dragons descend and burn through the disorganized Tyrell lines. And with that, Stannis' warhammer falls, smashing through the fractured lines. Fire and fury align at last. By nightfall, the fields are strewn with broken sigils of the Tyrell Rose and the Golden Company's skull. Aegon's standard falls, scorched and trampled into the mud. Victory, but not without cost. Far to the north, beyond the reach of ravens, Hardhome burns. Jon had ordered the evacuation weeks ago, before riding south, but the war delayed the fleet. The wildlings were left stranded, waiting on frozen shores as the dead crept nearer. They come at dusk. The wailing begins before the sun sets, but by nightfall, it is drowned out by screams. The White Walkers descend like a storm. Whites tear through tents and barricades. Mothers clutch children. Warriors fight until they vanish beneath snow and blood. The slaughter is not random. It is a ritual. Thousands die. Their blood is offered. Their bodies left untouched. And then, the earth shakes. Miles away, the wall groans like an ancient beast. In the dead of night, a section of the wall collapses, shattering like ice dropped from a great height. Stone and snow tumble in thunderous ruin. A gap opens wide enough for an army. The White Walkers know this and begin their march. Yet outside Seaguard, Jon receives word of what happened. It takes days, and then he sees it. Hardhome has fallen, and the wall is breaking. Daenerys watches his face change. His jaw tightens. He walks toward the fire. Above them, Drogon growls, wings twitching uneasily. Soon, the snow begins to fall. It is a light flurry, but the snow continues. It clings to every branch, every rooftop, every man and beast. From the shattered ruins of Hardhome to the haunted forests north of the wall, the wind carries not just ice, but death. And then, in the coming weeks, the White Walkers descend on the wall, no longer content to wait. They bring a storm with them, a blizzard so thick it chokes the air and blinds the guards on the ramparts. They move like shadows, flickering blue in the dark, raising the dead as they advance. Inside Castle Black, the war horn sounds. Bran Stark, half frozen, barely breathing, clutches Sam's arms, his voice little more than a whisper.
They're coming. Prepare yourself.
The Night's Watch and their allies brace for battle. Stannis' men, the remaining free folk, and the Rangers form ranks. Melisandre lights the ramparts with fire, praying aloud. The battle begins as snow swallows flame. The Whites climb the wall like spiders, their limbs unnatural and twitching. Arrows fall, but it's not enough. Spears of ice pierce the defenders. Giants of bone and ice batter the gates with frost-covered clubs. Slowly, inch by inch, Castle Black falls. It takes time, longer than Bran expected, but they are at last unable to hold back any longer. Mance reluctantly calls for a retreat with Melisandre. The free folk in the Gift begin to flee, caravan and horse riders making for Winterfell. Some Northmen retreat with them, others dig in, vowing to defend their homesteads. The Karstarks and a few of the Umbers refuse to retreat, so instead, they fall and join the Night King's army. Those who decide to flee escape south to Winterfell, where Mance and Melisandre fortify it as best they can. Yet they know they do not have the men to hold out. Many choose to continue running rather than making a stand. While they had sent letters ahead of them, warning of the attack, they know the army will not arrive right away. As they are cleaning up the battle and preparing to march, Daenerys and Jon decide to visit Aegon, who was captured after the Battle of Seaguard. The upstart prince sits in a tower cell, treated well but stripped of all royal regalia. He now dresses simply, the roots of his silver hair starting to show beneath the blue dye. He glares at them angrily as he approaches.
Traitors! You betrayed our family by siding with the usurper.
No, we're rebuilding our dynasty. Different than before.
Different or weaker? I'm fulfilling what my father's reign should have been. I would have made the realm great, and you two could have had a place on my side. Our family was dying. Robert's rebellion was just the nail in the coffin. The realm hated us. Our father kidnapped my mother and had me. He got half the realm to turn against him, and the Mad King just drove the knife deeper. Their greatness was built on lies and fear.
You didn't want to rebuild the realm for the family. You did it for yourself. I had been bought and sold by my brother in the past. I am the dragon reborn, and I will not accept that again. So here are my terms. Stand with us, or burn. Tell that to the Tyrells, and tell them to stand with us.
Aegon listens to these terms silently. The Tyrells panic. They are not ready to face such wrath alone, as Harris Swift soon joins in, forcing the Tyrells to follow suit and abandon their claim to the Iron Throne, and being lords paramount of the Reach. With their forces brought to heel, the army slowly begins to turn north to confront the White Walkers. As they march, they see the skies above Winterfell turn pale as ice. The winter grows stronger, and the army's movements slow to a halt. The only thing that keeps them moving is Daenerys and her dragon sweeping across the frozen plains, turning entire pockets of whites to cinders. The dead retreat from flame but reform in waves. Her fire also clears the path for them to advance. Jon leads a strike force through the burning path she clears, guiding the rest of the army forward to lead them towards Winterfell. Aside from the whites, they are greeted by a long line of refugees, wildlings, lordlings, and small folk fleeing south. They are not even sure if Winterfell still stands at this point, but the army keeps moving forward. It takes months of riding, but at last they see it. Jon raises his sword and organizes an attack on the outer defenses to retake Winterfell. Daenerys swoops down with Drogon, burning the structures and forcing the whites to open, where Jon and his cavalry run them down. They retake these outer defenses and manage to slay a group of undead giants battering the gates. As they ride inside, they hear a cry from beyond the mist as more whites arrive. Jon and his column manage to ride inside the walls, but they are the only ones to make it. Outside the castle, the rest of the army remains. Tyrell bannermen, Dothraki, Baratheon men, and the Golden Company. They must fight a siege not of stone, but of flesh and bone. Within the Godswood, Bran waits. He sits beneath the heart tree, pale and silent, until Daenerys approaches. She finds no warmth in his eyes, only the storm of memory. From his side, he offers her a sheathed blade, slender, sharp, black as night.
I told you I would come back, and I come bearing gifts. Dark sister. She once belonged to Visenya, the cave that gave it to me. Now it's yours.
Daenerys takes it with trembling hands.
She was the blade of conquest. You will be the blade of survival.
Jon sends ravens out to Stannis and the rest of the army. They continue to clash with the whites, their forces always on the move, cavalry striking and retreating behind walls of armored infantry. The remaining giants and elephants are unleashed to throw up groups of whites aside and let the men-at-arms pick them off. The Stark men Jon brought with him reinforce the remaining defenders, and with Melisandre's fire, they manage to drive the whites back. Yet simply holding Winterfell is not the key. Bran explains to him that the Night King is who commands the whole army. He watches, high on pale steel of ice, as his legions surround them. The plan forms quickly and is relayed to the rest of the troops by Raven. Stannis leads a charge from the south with Baratheon and Reach troops. Daenerys and Drogon flank from the east, raining fire across the outer ring. Jon and Ghost lead the vanguard through the breach, aimed directly for the Night King himself. The trap is risky, but it is all they have. The dawn never comes. Only the fires of Winterfell and the shadow of wings over ice. Jon tightens his grip on Longclaw. Daenerys fastens Dark Sister to her back. Above them, the Night King watches and waits. The final battle begins. As the gate opens, Jon rides alongside Ghost and the remaining cavalry. They are supported by Daenerys, who leads the charge, burning through whites and clearing a path for them. With the way open, they proceed to cut through the stragglers, or simply let their horses trample them down. The direwolf is a constant presence, ripping and tearing upon their ranks and preventing them from fully reforming as they attack with fiery swords provided by Melisandre. The dragons circle, continuing to provide support to them. Stannis takes this as his signal to attack. He orders his men forward. Aegon commands the vanguard atop an elephant as the remaining beasts and giants lead the charge. They are followed by a solid wall of men-at-arms who cut through anyone who manages to survive. Their attacks manage to throw the undead into a state of chaos as they struggle to answer both attacks. This allows Jon to advance. Taking a contingent of his most trusted cavalry, he turns to the nearby ridge where the White Walkers are gathering. Daenerys does as well, raising Dark Sister above her head as she unleashes fire upon the hillock. The flames scatter. The White Walkers are easily cut apart by dragonglass and Valyrian steel. While his warriors are occupied, the Night King stands alone as Jon Snow approaches with Ghost. The direwolf bites into his arm as Jon tries to bring his sword down. The Night King reels from this attack, but catches the next swing with his icy sword. Their blades clash, sending sparks flying as they push back and forth against each other. Jon is quickly on his feet, forming at him again and again in a series of quick strikes, but none of these land. The Night King is a glacier, weathering each strike and his own sword sweeping to keep Jon back. As they clash, he struggles to hold back the Night King's swings as he steadily gains ground on the boy. Seeing this, Daenerys leaps from Drogon's back and tries to slash at him from behind. Yet Dark Sister only tastes the ice of the Night King's blade. The creature whirls around, weapon flashing as they strike at one another. Jon closes the gap as Daenerys clumsily blocks another strike. Despite that, it adds further pressure to the ancient being, who is pushed closer to the edge of the ridge. Finally, as he blocks Jon's attack, Daenerys drives her sword into his thigh. The Night King hisses and lowers his guard for a moment. Jon takes this chance and rams him over the edge. As he tumbles off the edge and they watch him disappear into the void, his body breaking apart as he falls. Around him, the army follows, shattering into pieces and leaving the men to look around in shock. Slowly, they begin to raise their swords high and let out a cheer. With this victory, peace is now restored. As promised, Daenerys is made heir apparent, while Stannis is declared king. Jon is proclaimed Lord of Winterfell and Warden of the North. Aegon is allowed to remain on Dragonstone as an honorary prince, but in practice, he only commands the Narrow Seas and the Lords of Cracklaw Point. That's our theory. Westeros is a land filled with exciting stories and possibilities, and we love exploring them. If you want to accompany us on this journey across the Seven Kingdoms and beyond, then please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.